You guys are both Canadians, but you've basically grown up as professional athletes in the United States, and you're deeply embedded in the community. Andrew, I got to ask you, when you first heard about the bombing on Monday, your first thoughts?
I mean, I was scared because it was my wife that called. So I guess scared and relieved because they were walking down to the finish line. They stopped at the common to play in the playground with the girls, and they heard the explosions, and then all the sirens were immediate. So she called just to find out what was going on, and so I threw on the TV to just let her know what was going on. Just scared for all the people that you know and care about, and I think every one of us knew a ton of people down there either racing or watching, and you just immediately think about all of them and kind of panically try to get a hold of them.
Sean, you're unbelievably popular in this community. When you first heard about it, where were you and what were you thinking?
I just woke up from my nap. I was getting ready for the game, so I wake up at 3 on game days, and I turned on the TV, and there it was. It was a little bit of, shock and awe. I didn't know. It didn't really, I guess, sink in. It was sad. It was very nerve-wracking, coming to the rink. I knew a lot of people down there, and immediately just start sending texts and receiving texts from people back home, making sure everyone's safe.
Andrew, how does this affect your team?
I think it makes everybody pause and reflect a little bit on, our role in the city. For this town and this region, I mean, sports is pretty important. A lot of people's best memories of being with their grandfathers or fathers at the first ball game or first hockey game or something like that. And so I think that sense of responsibility to, continue to do them proud and represent the city well and try to help in any way possible, with people that were affected with the tragedy in any way you can.
You've been at the top of the mountain twice, Sean. What, as a group, do you think this does to your team going forward athletically?
It puts everything into perspective, what happened. It's just a game. I mean, it's a game we love to play, and it's a sport that we take a lot of pride in, but there's a lot more important things, I think. As a group, though, I mean, we were all here together. We all got to the rink that day, and it was, obviously the game was canceled, but we were all here talking about it. It's kind of, like I said, puts things in perspective. But it's, like Andy says, tough. I mean, I was driving around yesterday, and, you feel kind of helpless. You feel like you should be doing more, and I know a bunch of us reached out to see if we could go visit and do stuff like that, and it was too soon, not allowed, but it just feels like you should be doing more, not just, running errands, getting ready for a game. There should be more you can do.
Andrew, you live in a really small community, not far from the arena here. What's the feeling like in the community where you live?
There's that sense of, somebody coming in and ruining a bunch of people's lives, so I think there's that pretty tough mentality of, let's get these guys that are responsible, because, there's people in the community. I mean, my barber, his sister's in the hospital right now, and her friend has her leg amputated, and our ranger buddy was tying tourniquets, at the finish line, so there's that sense of, people are angry, They want people to know, it's not right.
How resilient is Boston? How resilient are their fans?
I've never been to a more proud city. I mean, they call themselves some assholes for a reason, It's tough, they're brash, probably thump our chest a lot, and it's all right. I think it's endearing, a bit. There's a really high bar here that's set by not only the sports teams, and what people demand of us, but also in life and people that are in the hospitals and people that are in the schools and the universities here. That bar is set so high here, and people are always pushing to do as much as they can, be as good as they can, and they're tough as nails and pretty stubborn people, so, I don't think something like this is going to knock too many people, back too far before they regroup and, like I said, come together even more.
Sean, do you think your team can be an outlet for the fans and for the city of Boston?
I hope so. We'd like to be. Like, if we can be that, turn your mind off everything else for 3 hours and watch us give a good performance. I mean, we're going to try and feed off that, too.
Andrew, what's it going to be like in the building tonight?
Well, probably a mix of emotions. I mean, like I said, I think it's one step towards, getting back to some normalcy, and it'll probably be, like I mentioned earlier, there'll probably be a lot of fathers and sons and, buddies coming to the game together, and that's what this community does. They go to these games and they create memories and they have a good time, but, that that first step back is going to be, mixed in with probably a lot of remembrance. Obviously, we'll be doing some stuff tonight, and people will be reflecting on the last couple of days and remembering, the people that were injured and lost their lives. I mean, yeah, it'll be tough.
Sean, if you could speak to the fans, what would you tell them?
Be loud, be proud. It's Boston. I think that's when I'm sure there'll be a lot of chants. And like Andy said, there'll be some mixed emotions, but it's a proud city, and I'm proud to be here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join together and sing loudly with Rene Rancourt as he performs tonight's national anthem. Representing all of Boston's first responders, please welcome the Boston Fire Department Honor Guard to present tonight's colors. Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as firelight that streamed through sunrise and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the red sea lost, were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets spread the homeward sailing
And that was the scene last night at TD Garden for the right before the Bruins game got started. This is, I would easily say, that going to be probably the most difficult Mike and Billy show. But
someone chopping onions in here.
Yeah,
just the tears.
It's a little misty in here.
Oh,
a little misty.
I think I got a piece of concrete in my eye or something.
But hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 22 of the Mike and Billy Show. It is Mike Wendt,
Billy Finnegan,
and it's Thursday, April 18th. It's been a trying week to say the least. Probably one of, I know personally, one of the hardest ones I've ever been through.
Well, and I didn't find out until last night, but you're a lot closer to this than I am. My only ordeal with it, usually this is the first time in 4 years I haven't been down at the marathon for work.
Right.
And usually where we're set up for the Finish Line Festival we're usually a part of. It's the same area that I've walked hundreds of times, just doing work in Boston, also just being in Boston. Boylston Street is just, it's a common place whenever I go around in that area. I mean, Newbury Street too. It's all in that same area, and I was on the air doing one of my other jobs when the news came out, so I was not down in the area. But
How did that? Because I was meaning to ask you about that. How did you handle that? Did you guys break in with the news, or did you stay on? Did you?
Well, what happened was
cut out some music and just.
I can't remember. I was playing. I was in between a song. I had started playing a song and I didn't hear about it because, I mean, where it is, I don't have a television on. I don't have anything else. And it was actually a listener on the Facebook page that, and I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but they literally put up in the comments section, serious shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's explosions at the marathon.
Right.
And at first I said, well, let me, I got a long song going here. Let me try to find some information out. And the information was so scarce at the time. And so, and again, it was like, it's the very first time I've ever had to break in and give and deliver terrible news. So it was awkward.
Yeah.
And I, again, can't remember exactly what I said, but I think I broke in and just said, after the song was over, and I just said, apparently, I'm going to be looking up more information on this, but apparently there's been some explosions. Because, again, at that time, no one knew what happened. The video hadn't been released.
Right.
It's like 2:55 or something like that. And so I said there's been explosions at the marathon. Check it out for yourselves on the internet. I'm sure people are talking about it, and I really didn't know there was. I never went to school for it. I was never briefed on anything.
How to handle this?
How to handle it?
Even this afternoon, I was here and I was running a remote broadcast, and they released the photos and the FBI press conference, and I had to break into a Stones song and be like, sorry for the interruption. I'm like, this isn't, you it's hard to put into words because, like you said, you never trained for this,
and you can't.
We're not wartime journalists. We're not those guys, and we're not even, talk radio type of news guys. So it's like,
But I don't think you can ever really train for it anyway.
You just got to be as honest as possible.
Yeah, and I think that's the simplest and easiest thing you can do, and that's what I tried to do, was just try to be as honest as possible. And again,
this is what we know, this is what's happening,
what I know, this is what I've been looking
do.
at, and you're going on third party reports. I mean, later on yesterday with the whole CNN thing,
oh Jesus, that was a mess.
It was after Monday,
right.
And then Tuesday, I even said to the people that were listening in, look, there's no agenda today. I just want to have fun, and I'm just gonna play music, and I'll break.
Add a little levity to it, because that's all we can do.
But that's it. This is just gonna be entertainment. I'm not gonna put anything out there. Then yesterday, I thought, okay, I'm gonna be like real radio guy, and I'm gonna go out there, and I'm gonna have all the information because something's gonna be breaking.
Try to do hard journalism.
And try to do the hard journalism. And I remember signing off and saying, one of the last things I said, because the report had come out when I was signing off, was that an arrest was made.
Right.
The last thing I said was, "We got him."
Oh shit.
And then I had to come on today and again, I'm not gonna.
Did you burn that air check?
Luckily, I didn't record that air check.
Never happened.
So, but I came on today and I was honest, because I think that's the best thing you could do. And I remember. If you take anything from Howard Stern's movie Private Parts, the one scene where Howard asks his wife, or it was his wife at the time, when they're in the scene, he said, "Did you listen to the show? What did you like about it?" She said, "I really liked that part where you messed up the ad, but you were really honest about it. It was different." And that's the big breakthrough moment in the movie where he becomes Howard Stern.
Right.
But I think it's really important just to be honest. And so I came on earlier today, and I said, I'm not gonna bring any information out until there's actual facts, because we all got fooled. Everyone got fooled.
Luckily, I was asleep, so I didn't get fooled.
Right, but I mean, Twitter was just
It was a
freaking mess, and
And
everyone's retweeting and
what it looked like, and because like I said, I was asleep. I woke up after CNN had stuck their foot in their mouth, and
or as Jon Stewart put it, finally found a way to shit in their own mouths.
right, and CNN became the binder full of women.
Oh,
Big Bird getting fired.
Yeah.
Because I was waiting. Because we've been, the social media, Twitter and Facebook and all that shit has been just explosive since Monday. Since it happened, it's been a steady stream of information. Some sounds plausible. Some is just complete conspiracy theories. It bounces from either side of the spectrum. But I've been waiting for that moment that all of a sudden you see your Facebook and your Twitter turn into one running hashtag joke, and that was CNN reports.
And that's what
And I know you were very active on it.
A few of our friends in the business, we did a hashtag CNN is reporting.
Is reporting, yeah.
I started a hashtag more facts than CNN and just started putting out facts about myself.
Right. I saw that you were a mediocre baseball player or something.
I was an average baseball player in little league.
In Little League, yeah.
It was like a the more you know thing. But it was really tough because you don't
want to make light of it, but you need to.
You need to have some levity.
You need to have that levity though, and
the tough thing too was the fact that you have guys out there, all news stations all over the place were following the lead of CNN.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just that. It
sucks to be the first one to do it because the rest of them have the ability to kind of co-sign without getting themselves in trouble because they can just go, CNN reported.
Right.
So if this is wrong.
But everyone else said, oh, our sources say. And it's like.
Everybody's got fucking sources, don't they? I love that everybody has sources.
And that was the unfortunate thing. And a lot of misinformation came out. And the only one I think that was actually that I was following big time because it seems like they get their information very quickly and it's usually very accurate was the Twitter handle of Anonymous, the group Anonymous. And
I don't follow them. I know you do, but
because these are the guys that hack into the WBC stuff. They hack into and try to bring out the truth and things. If you're a bad person, Anonymous is going to find you. But they also try to spread the news and spread truthful news reports, and they were the ones that I was following for the West Texas fire. Which was
a rough week.
I still can't believe this week, and we were talking about it last night. But when those guys are reporting, I'm going, okay, they're pretty good. They know things, and it was just like, even they got duped by CNN, and it's like, it's really to me the saddest thing is that a guy, and I said it, I said it jokingly to one of our friends. It's like we all got cronked. It's like Walter Cronkite was rolling in his grave yesterday because there's a guy who's the beacon of journalism, and we all, well, with the exception of you because you were sleeping, but we all, the journalistic integrity is just became apparent that it's fucking out the window.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter whether it's true
being
or
first
not.
Is a lot better than being right.
Right, and that's the really sad thing about journalism these days, and the fact that now it looks like something like a TMZ is a lot more reliable and credible, and they seem to break stories a lot better.
I gotta, and I don't want to veer too far off topic, but they were starting to get on my fucking nerves Monday.
Yeah,
and it's not anybody's fault, but it was like all of this was happening, and most of my feed was just retweets of from news people with if you have information, if you're looking for your runners, if you're this that, and then TMZ pops through with Kim Kardashian's butt is looking. It's like I wanted to jump through the screen and be like, Well,
and that was a big thing too about Twitter because again, I haven't been a big Twitter person, and it really took this to really make me just get right into Twitter and now just following all different things and trying to follow quote unquote news sources.
Right.
But that was a big thing because I like to have fun on Twitter, and if I'm going to follow people, I want people to be entertaining. And
Sure.
for some reason, don't know why, but I'm really entertained by a lot of female porn stars.
You mentioned that.
And so I had a couple of them on there, and there was a few, and it wasn't like I took offense because they weren't. I didn't take offense because they weren't going the whole Boston route.
Right.
I understand you're trying. I follow a lot of music things too, and they they got albums to plug and whatever.
Sure.
But there was one,
And there's also the possibility that a lot of them didn't know.
True.
At that point, because like I said, I was looking. This was going on like Monday afternoon. This was going on right after it happened.
Right.
And this is what I was seeing. And a lot of them probably either didn't know. There's also those, people set up like early in the morning. They set up tweets to go. They schedule them. Mm-hmm. There's the software that you can schedule. Okay, at 2:45, I'm going to send this tweet out.
Right.
And morning shows do it all the time.
And
radio.
a lot of entertainment outlets do that. But one of them.
But it just you can't help but be like, there's more important things right now than your fucking album or Kim Kardashian's fat ass.
But there was this one, and I can't remember her name right now. It was just some random chick, but she kept posting and posting. Like, so you had the TMZ thing. I had this girl like, my webcam show is coming up. My webcam show. And it's like, had a great time at my webcam show. And then like
you almost want to say, hey.
Well, and I was giving her a pass. I was like, whatever. They're doing their own thing. Then the very next tweet was some sort of political anti-Obama thing.
Yep.
And I just said, all right, this is the only time I'm going to do this. But I responded to that tweet and said, look, honey, you've been sitting there and you've been touting your webcam show, and then you spark in with some sort of political talk.
Right.
I said something about being the pot calling the kettle black, and she retweeted back and she said, I'm blocking you, and it's like, doesn't matter, I'm not following you anymore anyway.
Right.
I mean, either stay the course and just be ignorant to it, or jump into the conversation, but don't do this and then come out with this random rant.
Even that's a fucking shitty response from her, because it's like, if you're going to post something even remotely political that's obviously going to cause some kind of discussion at the least, and your first response is I'm blocking you, then why don't you just not post things if it's going to offend you that much?
Yeah.
And I actually had a very similar Monday afternoon after Obama did his first speech.
Yeah.
And he had the quote, which I could scroll for an hour. I've posted so much shit over the last few days. But it was basically, the paraphrase, it was the Boston is a resilient city and that thing. Yep. And I just took the quote, posted it on Facebook.
As did a lot of other people.
As did a lot of people. And it was and I had been posting stuff, through the afternoon, and everything was, getting the usual response of shares or likes or whatever. This was the first thing, and that really got a negative response, and everybody just kind of started piling on the anti-Obama thing, and I'm like, turn it off for a minute. And the first one annoyed me, but
you let it go. Yeah.
I let it go. I had so many other things to fucking worry about in my life at that point, because Denise still wasn't home, and I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
But then it just continued, and I got like 5 or 6, and I just got bullshit. And I said, look, I didn't vote for the guy, but at this very moment, I don't give one solitary shit about politics. So pretend I took his name off the quote and put some bum from Alston's name on there. Would it make a difference? The quote is still fucking valid.
It's absolutely valid.
That was my point.
I mean,
and people still, even after that, like, oh, you got a punctuation error. Fuck your face, dude. It's like, there is so much. It just, that type of shit just enraged me, because it's like, especially people from Boston, it's like, you really need to prioritize your fucking emotions right now. It's not about which side you voted for. And I was even talking to the night guy earlier, and we were like, you gotta almost look at, politics almost follows down the same line as sports. It's like, you lost.
Yeah.
Your side lost.
Yeah.
You have to accept that. And in 4 years, you can try again.
Right.
Plain and simple. But for 4 years, we got this guy. You
Deal
cannot
with it.
like it, but
deal
you
with
have
it.
to deal with it.
You're going to have to still
Bitching and moaning
Right.
isn't going to change the fact that he's going to be president tomorrow.
It's not. Yeah.
And for the next 4 fucking years.
Yeah.
In 4 years, try again. You know, that's the best.
Vote, yeah, exactly. And the best thing you can do is vote the best guy in there.
It just bothered me. It's like, really?
Well, and that's
you're gonna take this moment, and especially that quote, which did carry.
And the
no matter which side of the fence
yes.
you're fucking on, it characterized Boston
yeah,
perfectly.
It wasn't. Hey, Boston's resilient because they vote Democrat. It wasn't that.
It wasn't Republican. It wasn't Democrat. It was just a very honest. It's a tough, resilient town. That was the quote. Boston is a tough, resilient town.
You tell me you're not going to take a fucking compliment?
Based?
No, it's not.
Well, because his name was on it. Really? It's like I don't block anybody, but that really pissed me off. That it's like that was you, and especially it's like.
Well, it's real easy to throw stones when it's just a keyboard.
When it's behind a keyboard, and part of me is like, and you know what? Just ignore it. Like I see shit all the time on social media that I don't like. You know what? I just fucking ignore it.
Right.
But to actually take the time to type out on my fucking page, it's like.
Because everyone's gonna have an opinion, and that's the shitty thing. I mean, yeah, I guess we have an opinion because we have a podcast.
We do, and I was thinking about that. We are like the lowest form of journalistic integrity, but we have a little bit.
Well, in the fact that we're not gonna, for the few listeners or however many are out there, we're not gonna sit there and try to pull the wool over your eyes.
No,
we're gonna tell it. We're gonna tell whatever it is to you out there, our opinions, and we're not gonna lie about it. And that's how it should be. And if you say something, don't retract it. Just stick to your guns.
Right.
And I guess that person is sticking to their guns by taking their political stance. But there's a time and a place for a political stance. And Monday was not a time and a place for that.
Right.
Monday was a time and it was the time and a place to come together as a community. And the people that didn't want to do that and instead take shots at politics or at
politics. I mean, there was even people that were making shitty jokes about Boston, and I was just like, there's no that old phrase "too soon." It just doesn't exist anymore.
No,
it really doesn't. And Monday really proved it with a lot of people. It's like, pick your moments, guy, because that's not cool on any level.
No.
And I am the first one to make inappropriate jokes and all that shit, and it might come off a little hypocritical, but there is times and places, and
absolutely, and I always make sure of the time and the place.
And I knew that I was not in any kind of a joking mood for anything, and I wasn't even trying to be very opinionated. Like the first string of posts I made on Facebook and Twitter were very much just factual based. Here's the numbers. Google person finder if your runner's still out there.
Yeah,
you're looking for this,
everything.
People were giving shelter to
that was
that's
one
all
of the,
I was trying to get out there.
Yes, and that was one of the best things about we saw the absolute the absolute good and the absolute bad this week of social media.
Especially Monday because there was no cell phone service.
There was no cell phone service, but Twitter was.
There was how to find people.
Everything. So you're finding people. You're offering help and information on where to donate blood, where to help others out. People are offering up their homes. Yeah. People, and it was such a great and overwhelming feeling of just support and of course, obviously as we all know, the first responders and the people down there on the scene and the stories of runners running straight from
to Mass General,
or
right from the finish line.
There was a couple surgeons I had heard, or at least a surgeon that finished the race and ran directly to the hospital to get ready for surgery because he knew he had to be in there.
He was going to be needed. Yeah.
You had the absolute best that day in social media, and then yesterday, Wednesday, you had the absolute worst in it because everyone just wanted to, and it's not the regulars. I'm talking about the news sources that just wanted to break the story as quickly as possible because you wanted your hits on the website.
They wanted to be the first one with their homepage saying "case closed" up there. Yeah,
right. And that was, but again, the one thing that I did take out of it is, out of Monday. I mean, as sad and tragic as it was this similar stance to what Jon Stewart echoed the other night, which was Faith in Humanity. And you know, because you always watch the news, and I hate watching the news because
I've watched more news than I have in my
news in the
entire
last
life.
few days than I have ever, and paid more attention to it. Not to say that I want to be an ignorant person. I want to be a well-read person. But when you turn on the news and everything's just depressing and everything's
it's either,
a killing,
it's either depressing or
a
sensationalized,
murder, a murder or a rape or a robbery, and you just see shit, and because that's what grabs the ratings, the danger and everything, because it's like a episode of CSI. But then you get all, and you search for those feel-good stories, and that's why the internet has a lot of great feel-good stories. I know the Chive puts up a lot of great feel-good stories about charity work and all this other stuff, and so Monday, seeing the efforts of just, you know, Joe and Jane, every person, you know, and just they're out there and just doing
that video of the first blast when it went off, and just the people running towards the smoke
to
grab those barricades, to rip them down. The WBZ cameraman, who was very clearly seen because he's got the blue jacket on, just bolts straight for the thing, starts ripping the flags out and pulling the barricades down.
I can't remember the last name, but Carlos, the man in the cowboy hat.
That cowboy hat, yeah.
I mean, and one of the most brutal and graphic pictures I will ever see. But there he is, placing the tourniquet on one of the victims' legs, who unfortunately both legs were just.
I want to say I know.
I think it's Jeff something or other.
I know there's one that went to high school with Denise.
Yes, and that's I believe that's the guy that I'm talking about.
I'll get his name in a second.
He, you know, the image that will never. I mean, that was definitely truly a day that once it's seen, it can't be unseen, and it's always etched in your memory. And the image of him, Carlos, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they have the victim in a wheelchair, and they're wheeling him out of the way of danger with a couple of EMTs on the side, and there he is holding.
It's Mark Fucarelli, I believe. They have a donation page for him. His family set up. It's help. Let me see if I can spell it. Helpmarkfucarelli.com, and his last name, his first name is spelled M-A-R-C. Last name is Fucarile. Fucarile. Mark Fucarelli. Yeah.
I mean,
he's a Stoneham guy. He went to high school with Denise and her sister.
And that, I mean, that was such a heartbreaking, but I don't want to say it was an uplifting picture, but just the image of seeing him, and he's literally holding on to what appears to be either an artery or a vein of this young man to stop the bleeding. It's one of the most powerful. Yeah. And honestly, that would have made the Sports Illustrated cover if it wasn't so gruesome.
Right.
But the selflessness of men like that, of just people just running to help. I mean, obviously probably the first instinct of a lot of people is to get out of there.
Right.
You're thinking of your safety.
Right.
You're thinking of loved ones at home that maybe aren't there, you know. And these people just said, "Fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm saving people."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and that image of after the first bomb goes off and they're tearing down
the barricades, the metal barricades.
It wasn't, and I applaud Boston for that, man. I applaud the people, and I'm so proud of the city that I don't live here, and I never tell people I live in Boston, because if I lived in Boston, I would tell people I live here. But I've always had like a love-hate relationship with Boston, where it's like, you know, I hate driving around Boston. You know what I mean? You always have the little pet peeves of Boston.
Sure.
I hate driving around Boston. I hate going to every concert that I go to and you hear Yankees suck chants. It's like, come on, it's a concert, and you hate this, but you know what? Deep down, man.
But those are such piddly ass shits when it comes down to
they're the smast thing
when
of
it comes
Boston,
down to the
because
good.
the true
when you
good
see
of
the
Boston.
good in the city, yeah.
And I always try to tell people, you know, people say Boston sucks. Since working here now more in the city, I tell people, you know, Boston doesn't. You know, I try to say to people, Boston doesn't suck. A lot of it's visitors of Boston. They're kind of assholes.
Right.
But
Because
as
they
a
don't know.
group,
Because they don't know any better. They haven't got used to the city.
Right. But as a
We've
group,
acclimated ourselves.
as a group of people, I'm so proud of just being from. You
And
know,
last
I'm
night,
40
I mean,
minutes away from Boston, but it's just being around here. I'm just so proud to be a part of this city, this
And
area.
last night is a great example. I mean, we played it at the beginning of the show, the national anthem,
Yeah.
and just the fans in the Garden throughout the game, just constantly chanting "We are Boston," the USA.
And
I mean,
instead of "Let's go Bruins," it was "Let's go Boston."
right.
And it was echoed throughout all of major sports this week, which was
Really
as
amazing.
well,
Even
which was
just
beautiful.
bitter rivals,
The
doing
Habs.
stuff. The Montreal Canadiens Monday night, they did a moment of silence for Boston, and honestly, and I need to thank some people up in Montreal because I wasn't on the air, and Monday. I mean, well, again, I keep saying I'll get to the Denise story in a minute, but it was numbing for me. Yeah. And I didn't know, there was so much shit going on in my head, and I didn't know what to do. So my friend up in Montreal, Dave Kaufman, has a radio show. He does Monday nights on TSN 690 in Montreal.
Yeah.
And he sent me a message during the day, and he's like, do you want to come on and just talk? And at that moment, I didn't really want to because it was early in the afternoon.
Yeah,
but I got what he was doing, and so I was like, all right, I'll call you when I get to the station, see how I'm feeling. So I get here to the station at like midnight, and his show starts at 11:30, and I call in, and it was 20 minutes, and I hope I was coherent on the air, because what it feels like was just me rambling for about 20 minutes. But
well, I think you got a pass.
And there was a lot of levity, and him and his co-host Jay Farrar. It's the Kaufman Show on TSN 690 in Montreal, and it was that, again, like right now it's hard to find words to express, but just having them just kind of bullshit with me and joke around and explain. It was one of the first things we talked about was during the Canadiens moment of silence. Mm-hmm. The guy starts chanting "Go Habs, go!"
There's always a guy.
And
there was a guy in the Bruins game last night.
There was a guy in the Bruins game doing it, and they were trying to. They're like, "We're not trying to, make light of the situation." I'm like, "No. Every town has their jackass, and that's your jackass. We have ours. It's like every group of friends has the asshole, but he's our asshole.
Yeah, and
every city has that group of jackasses.
You still love the guy, because he's one of yours. But
and if anybody else calls him an asshole, everybody will fight for him.
Yeah,
absolutely. But yes, I mean, great. They really are. They're great guys. When there's not a Bruins Canadiens game.
Yeah, exactly.
And we even said that they're like, "Oh, next time you're up, we'll grab a beer." I'm like, "Oh well." Outside the Bell Center. Between the first and the third period, I'm going to be wearing the Bruins jersey, and I'm going to be a ringleader, like we talked about last week with up in Montreal. I'll be a ringleader supporting the Bruins. But afterwards, I'll go to the hotel, I'll change out of the black and gold, and we'll go out. We'll roll a laugh all together.
We'll go to one of the strip clubs.
You can buy me a beer, absolutely. I'll allow that.
but
yeah, so
and throughout all the sports, I mean, and the Penguins are coming in tomorrow, but I don't remember what skater it was on the Penguins, but they were wearing the Boston Strong.
I know they had last night. They had the decals on the back of their helmets with the 617 and Boston.
And there was a few on the skates. I mean, you got the storied rivalry of the Red Sox and
the Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees busting out. Even though I hate the tune, but I understand the message. Sweet Caroline.
A lot of stadiums did the Sweet Caroline thing.
The Indians did it with the Red Sox in tow.
Some of them played Dirty Water.
Which I mean, it was a great outpouring. Chicago, the Blackhawks did a great thing.
And it's very much, and it's one of those things. It's like you watch it. It's like it's kind of cheesy. But you get what they're trying to do. It's a nod of the cap. It's a we're thinking about you. We're with you. And
there's
more to this than just sports. Right. It's just a fucking game.
And that was the biggest thing about it. Everyone realized that
there's more.
Let's drop the petty stuff because sports is the smallest microcosm of life. It's
just a game, and at the end of the day, like I said, once that final horn sounds, we're back to just being people. We're inside the arenas, we're sports fans. Great. We can hate each other for that amount of time. But then when the final horn sounds, we can all go roll a laugh at the bar and enjoy our company as people.
Because that's how it should be.
Yes, it's entertainment. It's fun. It's, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I might as well get to it. The way I found out about what was going on, because I was here at the station. We had a couple of broadcasts during the early morning of the marathon.
Yeah.
And
because it's always a busy day around here.
It's an amazing day.
It's a normal thing to be hectic on marathon
all
Monday.
those stations lined up at bars along the route.
Yeah.
You know, the Sox are playing. The sun was out. It was
It was a beautiful day. It was
beautiful
gorgeous.
spring
it was
day.
Gorgeous. It was the first really nice day we had.
Right.
In a long time. I mean, we had like rain and shit all last week.
And
we probably had a snowstorm that I don't want to remember.
There was definitely threats of sleet.
Yeah. I was like, so it was a day to celebrate.
It was. And I finished up here around 2, and I went to the bank, sat in an atrocious line at the bank.
Yeah.
That really ruined my afternoon. But seriously, that was like the worst part of my day. That and the fact that I was going home to do taxes. So I go home. I had like a few things left because I couldn't file my state taxes for some reason online. I had to mail them.
Tax Act, baby.
Oh, it's such a fucking pain in the ass. So I go home and I'm printing out the paperwork and I'm cursing down TurboTax and all that stuff. And I'm like, wrestle. And all of a sudden my phone rings and it's Denise. And I'm like, hello. She's like, I just wanted to let you know I'm okay. I'm like, all right, cool. You coming home for dinner or something? Or she's like, Jesus Christ, turn on the news. And she told me what was going on. Now, why this was important was because this marathon and for the past marathons, as long as I've known her,
and I didn't know this until you told me.
She DJs at the starting line.
Yeah.
You know, when the runners, she usually works with the Bruins Foundation, and they have a team that runs, and they're stretching out and getting ready, and you know they get markers and they write messages on their arms for the people they're running for and all that stuff, and she plays music for them. You know, usually like Rocky shit and the inspirational stuff. Yeah. We're getting ready to run for a day. It's a festive environment, and then when all the runners have started, she goes down right to the finish line, and for years she's been going to the finish line. And there's a friend of hers has an office literally right over the fucking finish line.
Yeah.
And they've been watching it there for years. Well, that office was 2 floors above the first blast. And that's not a dramatic exaggeration. I mean, literally, she was maybe 100 feet or so.
Jesus.
Like every shot of the first blast, you can see the window that she was looking out of. Just the plume of smoke going up. Her friend had a little bit of singe in her hair, and the shrapnel and shit. That nobody in the office was hurt, luckily. But when the first blast went off, there was they were with a Marine.
Yeah.
He just happened to be at the party with them, and the first blast went off, and he's like, "Let's go." Just immediately, just clicked it.
He knew.
It just clicked. I don't know whether it was the sound of the blast or whatever it was.
But obviously, he's got the instinct.
He immediately clicked, and he started scooting up. Like, hang on a second. This is the picture she sent me early in the morning. That's the picture of the finish line. So that's that's where she was looking.
You're not kidding. 100 feet. I mean,
maybe 100 feet. Maybe.
That's right. I mean, it's crystal clear picture too.
And that was sent probably like 10 o'clock in the morning. And it was, and so the first blast went off, and he's like, let's go. And then the second one, and it was just, get the fuck out now. And you can only imagine, because they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know if the fucking building's about to drop. So they're trying to just get out. So they hit the fire escape. They went out back to an alley, and they found 2 girls laying on the street, covered head to toe, blood and gore and just mess. One of them bleeding from the head, holding her head, and Denise scooped them up and put them in her car and drove them to a hospital. And she's like, "Let's go. We're gonna get you to the hospital." Blah blah blah. Put them in, got them there, and came home. And
how long was she at the hospital for?
I honestly don't know. It's a kind of a blur.
I'm sure. I mean, she's running on adrenaline there, and she's just.
I think she might have just dropped them off, made sure they got in and left. But I honestly don't know. It seemed like a while.
Yeah.
Before she got home, but it was one of those things that once she got home, it took a while for her to, I guess, register what had happened, because initially, and part of it was just her natural reaction to just be brave and be strong for the people around her.
Yeah, because she's. I mean, and we laugh and joke about it, but she's a strong woman.
That's the shit that pisses me off about this whole thing. It's like, of all the people, like that, she has more fucking karma points built up than anybody I know. She's one of the most selfless women I know, and to have this shit, like, she doesn't deserve to. Nobody does.
Nobody deserves.
Nobody does. But it's
that.
just like it took a while, and she was angry for a while, for a few hours, and of course I'm sitting there and I'm glued to the news, and I'm just staring at all this shit coming in, and a lot of it was just rapid fire information. The shit with the Kennedy Library was big. The truck down on Route 2A, that was abandoned, that they were searching, this and that, and everything that comes through seems like another lead or something. Initially there was 5 other packages found, and stuff, and
then someone reported 7, and then,
and just everything's coming in. And she was for a few hours very angry. It's like everything that came on the TV was getting a resounding "fuck you." You weren't there. You didn't see shit. Blah blah blah. Twitter was the same thing, and it got to a point where once her friend that came home with her, collected herself and was able to drive home. We went in. I, started making dinner. I'm like, oh, let's make something different.
Trying to get a mind off of it.
Trying to get out of the living room, get away from the TV for a little while. So I changed the channel to the Food Network. It was the only place I knew wasn't going to have any information. So we had diners, drivers, and dives on the TV. We went into the kitchen. You knew he weren't going to get any information that way.
That's so you switch from a horrible, horrendous act to another horrible, horrendous act.
Right. So we go into the kitchen. We start making dinner, and we finish dinner. And now we're probably going on. She'd probably been home for probably 4 hours or so at that point, and we're just laying there. And I forget what we were watching. I just don't remember. Maybe Veep. I don't know. Maybe an episode of Veep or something. And she was laying on the couch, and she's like, "I feel weird." And I looked down, like, "What's going on?" And she was looking like, not looking, but dazed, just staring at the floor. And she just turns her head and stares at me, and I had never seen a look like that on any. It was just, the only way to describe it was there was nothing behind her eyes. It was just, and you could tell that it had just clicked that she can't unsee what she had seen down at the finish line, and that this shit was going to probably haunt her for a long time. And it was just like, she got quiet and very just guarded, and I'm like, all right, let's go to bed. It's time for bed. And because you can't say anything in that situation. The only thing you can tell her is, you're safe now. You're going to be safe. You're home. You're in our bed. We're going to be safe. And just hope she has a good night's sleep. And that's the bitch about working overnights in a situation like this, is I got to leave. I have to, and she kept asking me. She's like, please don't go to work. I'm like, I have to go. It's, we don't have the affordability of calling in sick, because that just means the guy who's here at night gets screwed. He's got to stick around after, working 7 to midnight. Now he has to stay till 7 in the morning. Doesn't work that way. So I put her to bed, made sure she was asleep, and then I went to work, and it was just fucking mind-numbing. And I think you coined the phrase last night, the internet detectives. They are in full force in the overnights. Oh my God.
And that's all. And that's for the last 4 days. That's what it was. It was just.
And
for
just
3 days, it was just picture after picture after this after that and theories and
And my problem with that is I'm all for as much information as possible without jumping to conclusions.
Right.
Like the pitch, and I know we were looking at the same pictures last night of the multiple guys with the bags and the Photoshop diagram of what a pressure cooker would look like in a bag.
They sent out every single person that had a backpack on in the vicinity of the finish line.
Here's the thing, I'm
Poor
fine with
fleece
that.
guy.
That needs to be done.
Yeah.
What doesn't need to be done is saying this is them.
And that's what happened with a lot of people.
Like
Again,
the dude with the blue jacket was cleared.
Like I said, the two kids
who
the New York Times came out and said these are the guys that you're looking for.
Front page of their thing.
And luckily, I guess,
the guy
unlucky for the kid in the blue jacket. It turned out that it was a track star from Revere.
Yeah.
And his coach. And they were down there because I guess they were going to run, but then they were late. Whatever the story was.
And I'll be honest, the first time I saw those pictures, I bought it.
You buy it, but you know
the
what?
diagram they showed, it looks like I wasn't about to flood that out.
And again, I'm going. Well, I'm going to wait for the FBI to tell me who they have. But there's a lot of things. There's a lot of. I mean, because
I don't get paid to say those words.
Honestly, if you take a picture of any crowd. Anywhere, doesn't matter where,
There's
and you just
always
say, pick
face.
out the suspicious person.
Right.
You're gonna find not just one. You're gonna find a slew of them.
Right.
It's going to happen. So to see that everyone was jumping to conclusions, and we had some friends here that did it, and and again, that's why I said, in the last 3 days, you saw the best and worst of social media, and people jumping to conclusions, possibly ruining people's lives.
Coming very close.
That one kid. His Facebook was found, and I think email was found. And
it's amazing how quickly the internet works.
He was being harassed.
Oh yeah.
That he had to start blocking people and blocking his own page, and then finally he was fed up with it, and said, "Screw this shit." And he walked himself right down to the authorities and said, "I'm clearing my name right now."
Right.
And he did. Yeah. And the authorities even said, I think. I don't know the whole story. They may have grilled him a little bit, but they said you're not the guy we're looking for. Ultimately,
right.
I think they asked him
at that point, and that was the problem. At that point, they already had the security footage of the guy they were looking for.
Yeah.
But they hadn't released it publicly, so everybody was just grabbing onto any picture that
they had
slightly resembled. Guy in a black jacket with a hat, has a backpack.
Well, and then of course, going back to CNN, they didn't really help out when they said we're looking for a dark-skinned man.
Of course.
And it's like, well, okay, let's look at the pictures now that we actually have.
They're kind of light-skinned, actually.
You have a Caucasian kid, definitely. Yeah. The kid in the white hat is a Caucasian kid. The other gentleman in the darker hat, I could see where they might say it was a little darker skinned, but that's only because there's a lot of shadow there. He's the hair is in there. It's kind of covered up.
I'm not a photo analyst,
but I don't know
what to say.
But I would never come out and say we're looking for it, especially because that's exactly what a lot of people were looking for. They were looking for a terrorist, or what we've been perceived now since post 9/11. What a terrorist is.
The stereotypical image of what a terrorist looks like, yes.
And that was
despite the fact that it doesn't matter if he's white, black, it doesn't matter what he is. He's a terrorist.
Look at the Oklahoma City bombing.
Right.
I mean,
Timothy McVeigh was a terrorist.
McVeigh was a terrorist.
Muslim. He was a terrorist.
He certainly wasn't from the Middle East.
Right.
He'd stick out like a sore thumb in the Middle East. And and that was the really unfortunate thing about the Saudi Arabia kid, the Saudi Arabia exchange student, and then they pull over his roommate, and you got the press asking the roommate all these questions. This kid barely speaks English. He barely spoke English, and they were like, "Why do you think he didn't do it?" Because I know the kid, and he didn't do it. And he's trying to convey his words as best as he can, and they're just all over him. Yeah. And that was, not only did you have the predators, the internet detectives out there, but you had the piranha that was the media. And I understand you're trying to get information, but the FBI and the state troopers and the CIA,
are paid very well,
and they've been trained very well to do it. Let the fucking pros do it.
It's like, and today, that's, like I said before, what I've been trying to do is not follow theories, but just the fucking facts, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the phone numbers. Here's the websites. Here's the emails. If you know something, that's what I've been fucking posting.
Yeah.
Because I don't know shit. I know as much as anybody else with an internet TV and a fucking access to Google. That's as much as I know. So who the fuck am I to say that that's them? Until this afternoon, they released the pictures. These are the guys we're looking for. Okay, post that. These are the guys the FBI is looking for if you know where they are. But still, people come out. How do they know that's the guy? Like, I have fucking comments on my fucking page, again, that are just starting to piss me off. And I'll fucking read them. I reposted on Facebook and Twitter the Boston Police Department's Facebook page. This is surveillance video related to the Boston bombings,
right,
is the title of the video. And my post says, keep sharing photos, videos, info, etc. until these bastards are captured. To help, call 800, call FBI, or email boston@ic.fbi.gov.
Literally the meat and potatoes of it.
That's all. And that's what I posted. 3 comments. That's all I got on this one. 3 comments. Curious, how do they know these are the guys? Second comment. If they have video of these guys actually planting the bombs, how come they're not showing that? Third comment. All I see are 2 guys walking down the street. I'm going to answer these individually as much as I can. Number 1, how do they know these are the guys? Because that's what they're paid to know. That's what they're paid to know. These guys have probably been doing this for more years than I've been alive.
Mm-hmm.
And they're paid to pick out shit like this. Now, whether it's a tip, whether it's they actually have video surveillance of them dropping the bomb and they just don't want to show it. This, that, and the other thing. And that bleeds into the second question. Why don't they show the video of them planting the bomb? A, they might not have it.
Right.
Yet.
Right.
B, because they're not ready to release that. It's taken, what, 3 days now? 4 days? For them to release this much information.
Which I
because
thought,
they don't want to cause
unbelievable.
They don't want pitchforks and torches running through the fucking streets, grabbing every guy with a golf hat.
Like it happened the other day when they said that there was a suspect, and next thing you see is construction workers and people coming out of their places of employment to flood the courthouse.
All I see are 2 guys walking on the street. That's more than we had yesterday.
Absolutely. Now, to play devil's advocate here, the first commenter there, you know, how do you know that that's the guys? Is that the one?
How do you know these are the guys? Yeah.
Okay. The FBI releases what they have.
Right.
Do we know that those are the guys? No, that's who they... To be honest, yes.
That's why they're called persons of interest.
Basically, if you're a suspect, they want to question you. They want to see what you know. They want to see all these things. I understand that. And yeah, okay, those might not be the guys. Maybe those are 2... But again...
Maybe. But you want to believe that after 4 days, you know, and you see them all over the place, you know, all the forensics trucks, the National Guard, all the people combing.
I watched them comb today,
Boylston Street,
where they were all in jumpsuits, and it's like white jumpsuit, blue jumpsuit, white jumpsuit,
every
and they're
thread,
walking
every hair is
through.
being bagged. You want to assume that after this many hours and days, that they got a good estimation.
It's a shame it's after St. Paddy's Day, too. There's probably so much vomit on that street.
Oh my! Well, that's kind of... I heard that commented on. We've had great weather for this shit.
Yeah.
Thank God it hasn't rained or snowed. No freak storms or anything.
That's the one...
Thank God
blessing that we've had.
We've been able to preserve the fucking scene.
Absolutely. And they've been working diligently. I mean, you know, it's probably... You know, we don't see them working, but I'm sure it's round-the-clock work going on down there.
Oh, yeah, night and day. And again, another sign of just how good people are. People bring those guys down, you know, sandwiches, coffee from Starbucks, just, you know, You guys been working all night. Here's stuff. It's just anything you can really do.
It's like some sort of scene out of like Mystic River or something. Right. You know, like the old you're down in Southie and hey, you look like you're working a lot. And it's like Jimmy's wife down the street who you don't even know, and she's just, you look like you need this. Right. You know, and bringing the coffee down. It's like, except it's not just some guy. It's a fucking Fed or something. And they're just like, hey, I think you might need this.
Right.
Like, here, here's a slice from the North End.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's really great to see the generosity, and obviously people want this thing to be over with, and I mean it'll never truly be over. We'll end up being able to move on because we're strong. Yeah. But I think people want to see justice, and people want to see this thing brought to a head, and we deserve it, and everyone out there, especially the victims, they deserve it. The families deserve it.
It's just fucking it's so enraging shit like this, and I get to the point because it's like with Denise being there. Yeah. Like, I'll defend her if somebody calls her a name. Yeah. These motherfuckers tried to blow her up. Think about that. Yeah. Absolutely. You call my fiance a bad name, we're gonna have words at the least.
At the least.
These guys tried to blow her up.
Well, you would have words with you at the least. You'd have to watch out for Denise.
Right.
She might be coming swinging.
Right. But it's just like, and you feel like almost powerless at a point where it's like, what can I do?
Well, what can I do? And at that time, it sucks to say, but you were pretty much powerless because you weren't there. Right. You had no idea what was going on. And I know a lot of other people felt the same way. I got a call from Danny that day asking where I was. Right. I called my parents and said, hey, look, by the way, I'm not down there. Right. Just to give them a heads up. I get the call from the girlfriend.
And especially working here, we knew so many people that were there. We knew people running in the goddamn thing.
Running in it, people that were down there. I mean, we have friends and coworkers that were doing on-site
broadcasts.
Broadcasts. They were just there. A lot of our sales team went down there.
A lot of them were at the Sox game before it.
I mean, and so it was very helpless for everyone because if you weren't there, if you weren't physically on the grounds, you had no idea what was happening. No. And you couldn't even imagine what was happening. And I believe me, I cannot even begin to imagine. I saw the pictures, but to be there, to hear it, the videos don't do it justice.
The ones that
it's too
I've realized, I think I mentioned this last night, they've become, I can tell they're a real trigger for Denise is the cell phone videos. Yeah. Because the sound is so much different than the TV broadcast ones. And it's so much, I guess real would be a term.
Well, I mean, it's just right there. It's up close and personal.
Loud.
With it.
It feels like you're there with the cell phone videos as opposed to the nice HD television broadcast things. And I remember just the first one, even before she had really settled in, because they started running them on TV and we were watching the news. That first one, when it blasted, she's just got all jumpy, and I'm just like, all right, we're not going to watch these anymore, and it's just, and especially now starting to see the pictures come out, and and clearly people are now going through their cameras again because the FBI released photos, but now all of a sudden,
I mean, a new one was just posted up as we were doing the show. I've never seen that one.
Barstool was the one that posted it.
Barstool posted it,
and it's the guy running away from the bomb.
And it looks like it's on a corner street.
It's the guy fleeing.
And out of all the pictures I've looked through, and I know you have thousands of pictures already.
And he's literally running away from a blast that just happened.
And I've never seen that picture once.
No. Because these are the things nobody knew what to look for.
Right. Now everyone knows.
Now everybody's combing their pictures again, combing their phones, their videos, their cameras, and now you're going to start seeing those motherfuckers in more than a few pictures coming up.
Oh, yeah.
And that is nothing but good. I say it's nothing but good because that's the shit the FBI needs. Send them in. Fuck Facebook. Fuck Twitter. Send them to the fucking FBI. That's who you need to be sending them to.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck how many likes you get on Facebook? Send that shit to the fucking FBI because they're the ones that really need to see that this motherfucker was there. That's a crystal clear picture.
Oh my God!
Imagine with their technology if they can enhance that.
That is a much better picture than even the
Any
pictures
of the
that
ones
were
on the
released.
news.
Absolutely, and it's funny, or not funny, but a friend of ours here said that basically, they've the FBI has made Boston a junior deputy, a marshal, of the city.
Yeah.
Go get them. I mean, they're asking. I've never seen so much of an outpour of, hey, we need your help, and that's probably the best thing the FBI can do because
The electronic
Boston's going to
billboards
find
now
it,
have them up.
which is great.
It's amazing.
Which is
it
excellent.
has the picture, and again, the meat and potatoes of it. The picture, the phone number, call the FBI.
Well, the only difference between that and your post is that no one can make a comment on the electronic.
Right, exactly. Nobody, dude, how do you know? It's just some oh my God.
But again, the technological age we live in, and as much as we've shit on cell phones at concerts, and the ridiculousness that ensues, and I saw it last week.
We can be hypocrites for a moment and say, God, I hope everybody was watching the marathon through their phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100%. Yeah, just don't go to my fucking concert and see that.
I hope you weren't experiencing that live. I hope you were watching it on your phone.
I hope you were taping it to watch it later on.
But man, do landscape mode. Come on now.
At least
do landscape mode.
But it's great. That is probably the best thing that I've seen with this.
And I love the. Right after it happened, the electronic billboard that's owned by, I think, one of the unions just had cowards posted on it. I don't know if you saw that one.
No.
It was just, it's same thing as what I'm looking at here. Yeah. Just one of those electronic billboards, and it just had the word cowards.
And then just the pictures?
No, this was right after it happened.
Right after it happened.
Because I guess it's down, I want to say, headed towards Quincy.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones, and it's owned by one of the local unions. And they're constantly doing. They're the ones that put the Go Bruins up during the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
those ones.
Yep.
They just immediately up right after, probably 4:00 in the afternoon Monday. Cowards.
Oh my God.
And it's just that's the type of city we live in. We're not gonna run and hide. We're gonna call you out. We're gonna call you to the carpet. You want to fuck with us? You're going to get a city that's not gonna let you fuck with us.
Right.
I know that sounded a little fucking scatterbrain, but that's kind of how I've been for 4 fucking days.
I think and anyone listening in, I'm sure everyone feels the same way.
Like the president said, without an agenda, we are a tough and resilient group of people. Bottom line, we are, and everybody's, even Collier, I loved his intro.
Oh, it was great.
You wanted to bomb the city of Boston? We went 86 years. We know how to lose here, people. Yeah. But we keep coming back.
My favorite was it was founded by the Pilgrims. They were so tough. What was it? They were so tough they had to buckle their hats on. I mean, it was
And we can joke about it, but there's a lot of truth in that. I mean, and just.
I mean, the attitude, the swagger of Boston, that's just what it is.
Like I said, come down on St. Patrick's Day.
You'll see it.
I
mean, come down. You might not be a fan of our sports teams, but come down when the sports team wins, whatever team it is.
Like Farron said in the intro tonight, we are a bunch of massholes.
And a lot of people, I've never liked the phrase.
And whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it is who we are.
Yeah. To quote one of the coaches, it is what it is,
right?
And that's how it goes.
And we are people that will like we talked about with the moment of silence thing. We are a group of assholes, but we're our assholes. And if you fuck with us, we're gonna band together because we can fuck with each other, but you can't fuck with us. This isn't a fucking movie. You're not Batman. Just call somebody. I saw such and such over here, but you're gonna get a lot of that over the next 24 hours, I would assume.
Yeah.
Where it's just because people are pissed, and when you're pissed, you're gonna be irrational at best.
Well, and it's certainly, I mean, an action like that, you know, it's absolutely irrational, and it's certainly harmful, and it's wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, again, we don't know the motives of what drove these supposed, you know, two gentlemen to their actions on Monday, but if it was hatred for something, you know, hatred's not going to diminish hatred.
No.
It's not going to kill off hatred, and doing something like that, that man should be apprehended immediately. That's a shame, and I know we're trying to be a little more upbeat,
light,
but that's just a shame. But it comes with everything.
It comes with situations like this.
I mean, you're gonna with a situation like this, and
I mean,
you know, after 9/11,
the cab drivers
there was a lot of ugliness
out of their cars, and just severely beaten. It was disgusting.
And that total ignorant mindset that because it's a certain group, and you think, well, it's got to be all of them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that was the again, we don't learn from history, and that's the problem with our society, is that we don't learn from history. No. And that happened in World War II with the Japanese Americans, where you're taking them all and you're putting them in fucking camps.
Right.
You're basically doing what the Nazis did to the Jews and everyone else in the concentration camps. You just lumped a bunch of Japanese Americans that were here.
Right.
And because of your fear and hatred, you lumped them all in, and George Takei and his family were one of them. Were a family that were held in these internment camps. It's like, what does that solve? That solves nothing.
And that's a lot of the reactionary type of attitudes. And even right after it happened, you know, one of the first things I posted up was just breaking news. There was 2 explosions at the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things that was written, North Korea. Clearly not.
Yeah.
You know? Clearly not.
But those are those misinformed people. Those are those people that just, you know, you don't want to be that person that shoots first and asks questions later.
Right.
Or just shoots first and then shoots again, you know?
It's the assumption shit.
Well,
that just
and now,
bothers me. It's like you don't. I haven't even had enough time to process what's happened. How do you already know who did it?
Right.
You know, who are you that you know what happened already?
Right. And you know, and
it's just fucking aggravating.
It's that. So now that we have pictures of 2 suspects, are we gonna go ahead and go track down every single college kid in the Boston area?
Yes.
College male. You know, or a golf fan, or, you know, is that what we're gonna do now? And no,
people better throw out those Bridgestone hats real quick.
They're gonna take a. They're gonna take a serious.
It's gonna be like wearing Bruno Magli's after the fucking OJ thing. Can't wear those fuckers anymore.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, are you gonna go and just attack? Because really, the white hat suspect, I think, is suspect number 2.
Yeah.
Are you going to go and attack every kid that looks like him?
Be half the guys I used to hang out with.
He looks like a buddy of mine. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not him, I will tell you that right now. But he looks like a buddy of mine. And it's like, I'm not going to go directly to my buddy's house and drag him out of his house. You know what I mean? Right. That's what these people are doing, this Malden guy.
There's a mob mentality. It becomes a real...
That's scary.
Violent mob mentality. And it's you need to... If we can express anything, if you're listening to this and we can express anything, it's just think. Well, think before you do anything in these situations.
Right.
You know, and like the guy said on the press conference today, if you think you know something, call the FBI. 800 call FBI. Give them a call.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to solve this crime, but you can help. If you think you know something. But just taking that action to yourself, I mean, that's not fucking cool.
Well, I'm sorry, but you're not fucking Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Right.
And even
like I said, you're not Batman.
And even and even that asshole is an asshole.
Right.
You know, just because you think you're gonna go ahead and apprehend
You might be the
these two
toughest guy
kids-
in your bar,
yeah.
but these guys just blew up part of our city.
Right.
I would not suggest trying to fucking take them down yourself.
And I'm sorry, but if you want to go ahead and try to do that and try to apprehend them on your own, I'm sorry, but no one's going to give you a reality television show.
Right.
So sit the fuck down and let the proper authorities
Let the professionals
do
handle
it,
this.
because they're professionals for a reason.
Right. It's enraging, most of this shit. It really is. But I don't know.
Well,
I'd like to say by the next time we talk to you all that this is,
I have confidence it'll be over.
we have at least people in custody.
I think by next week we'll be okay. So but that's just the optimism of this whole thing, and I'd like to try to be a little light and keep optimism going.
I'd like to get back to
Especially-
just telling dick jokes next week. I really would. I mean, I think we've handled ourselves very well, but we've only been on for an hour.
Right. Well, at the same time, I don't want to drag this out.
Right. It's not one of
Because-
those things that needs to be.
I think
we had to do this though.
it's the biggest news
Right.
story I mean, if we came on here and started talking about some sort of
Hey, what'd you do this week, Billy?
yeah, if we did something about like a new Kevin Smith movie,
I started thinking about working out this week.
or
Does that count?
or something like Tarantino, or that Daft Punk is releasing an album on the 21st of May.
You're very excited about that, I know.
It's gonna be fucking awesome.
Is it?
But yes, shut the fuck
Okay.
up. But if we came out and did that and just totally ignored this, like.
We shouldn't have a show if we did that.
No, yeah, and besides the fact that it's we were chatting about it last night, but it's been on my mind. Obviously, it's certainly been on your mind. You got to vent, and we have an area to vent. So, and my only other thing, and I said this a few days ago after. I don't really want to go back to Facebook and pull it up, but. My biggest thing here was, watching what happened and learning and reading all the stories about all the heroics that went down. And hero is a term that is just tossed around so gingerly these days.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of heroes out there, and it just, when tragedies like this strike, you just think to yourself, how precious life is, and how you walk through life, and then the way you're perceived and the way you perceive others, it just be a good person. Like, it's the most important thing to do is just be a good person. And you might walk around and someone might aggravate the shit out of you, and you're not supposed to get along with everyone, but you know what? In all honesty, the most important rule, and you can take religion, you can take philosophy, whatever you want. The most important rule is the fucking golden rule. Treat others as you wish to be treated, and just live your life that way, and just do good.
The word
do good
that has been occupying my brain most of this week is civilized.
Yeah.
This shit doesn't happen in a civilized society, and that's where we're living. And that's how I feel about a lot of this. Is like, you see people, and like you said, we don't have to like everybody. I'm sure a lot of people don't like us.
Yeah.
That's fine. But you know what? Being in this civilized society, we have the right to ignore people, to put them on the do not pay attention list.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there that bother the shit out of me. But you know what? I don't let them occupy any space up in my brain, because I like to have it as empty as possible up here.
Get out of here, Walmart.
I like to have it as empty as possible up there. There's plenty of room for, Bruins and wrestling and shit. I don't need to worry about you and your and why you aggravate me.
Right.
But it's just, if I can express anything to you, going through what happened Monday, is take an extra moment, hug the person you love an extra time, tell them that you love them, because God damn it, that hour or so from when Denise called me to when she walked through the door, I was fucking horrified. I was just, just didn't move from the couch. I drained the battery on my phone 3 times, refreshing shit, trying to get as much information, and that was the problem too, because when she called, one of the last things she said was, my phone is dying, my battery's dying. I'm like, well, hang it up and save the fucking battery.
Yeah.
So if you need to call me back, just take the time, man.
Cherish it.
You
Cherish
don't know what's coming up tomorrow, so just take the time to give a shit about the people you give a shit about.
Yeah.
You know? And try to enjoy as much of this fucking life as you can, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know what's going to happen. And I don't know. You don't want to say that, you don't want to have that, I wish I had said this, I wish I had done this moment. Right. So.
Well, I love you, Mike.
I love you too, Billy. As we fucking sit here weeping like a fucking couple of broads.
Oh, who's cutting the damn onions?
God damn it. Should have done a drinking show.
Oh, that'll be next.
I'll get you to do one eventually.
Well, no, we'll do a drinking show when these guys are caught.
Right. Yeah,
celebratory.
That's another thing. It's been one of those weeks where have yourself a drink.
Yeah.
Pour yourself something nice and tasty. You know,
and
treat yourself. Treat yourself, because we live in a society that we are allowed to treat ourselves to things we enjoy and things we like. And when people try to take those freedoms away from us and they don't succeed, it's just all the more reason to celebrate more.
Yeah.
And go back to it again, what we opened the show with, the national anthem, 17,000 plus, doing nothing but showing these motherfuckers that they can't beat us and that they can't break us, and that we are strong people and that we will bounce back from this. And you can keep trying if you want, but we're going to keep fucking bouncing back. And when they are caught and they are fucking, I don't know what the penalty is for this, but I would assume death in some form or another.
I'm sure a lot of people are calling for it.
We will raise at least one glass, probably a few more.
Yeah.
So, I think, are we wrapping?
Are
you ready?
Yeah.
Have you said all you need to say?
I got my venting out.
So, we look forward to talking to you again next week. Hopefully we have great news for you next week. But of course, as always, we've been updating the Facebook and the Twitter with pertinent information, trying to keep as little speculation as possible off of there.
Yeah.
So pertinent information at Mike and Billy on Twitter, Facebook.com/Mike and Billy Show. Of course, we're on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker. You can subscribe and listen as you please. And the pertinent information that you would need would be, if you know anything, if you have photos on your phone or video on your phone or your cameras, they can be emailed to boston@ic.fbi.gov.
Turn it in.
The hotline is 800-CALL-FBI or 800-225-5324. And to donate to the I guess relief effort,
fund.
The One Fund. Yeah, it's www.theonefundboston.org.
And there's a lot of other great little things popping up around the city. So if you're in the city or you're on Facebook, we'll try to keep things posted. But I know a lot of local bands got together the other night.
Yep.
And did a big benefit show at TT the Bears, a friend of ours, Angel Wood, organizing.
You guys are both Canadians, but you've basically grown up as professional athletes in the United States, and you're deeply embedded in the community. Andrew, I got to ask you, when you first heard about the bombing on Monday, your first thoughts?
I mean, I was scared because it was my wife that called. So I guess scared and relieved, because they were walking down to the finish line. They stopped at the common to play in the playground with the girls, and They heard the explosions, and then all the sirens were immediate. So she called just to find out what was going on, and so I threw on the TV to just let her know what was going on. Just scared for all the people that you know and care about, and I think every one of us knew a ton of people down there either racing or watching, and